Hi, we are the CSE418 bookstore team, and for our semester-long project, we created an online bookstore where students were able to purchase their books that they wanted to. Um, for their college, they were able to make an account and add these books to the cart in multiple blocks, and they were able to add it to their profile. Again, as I mentioned, we made a bookstore with textbooks for college students to purchase books for their class. Each team member in our team, as listed here, did an equal amount of work. We worked in multiple hackathon style sessions where we met physically and completed most of the work together, leaving the smaller components individually at home. We designed this project with software security in mind, and we tried to create an application that was ideal to a real world application. We had security as the main focus of the project, and that was very apparent in the way that we were coding and designing. We built the project on a Django framework, which was really useful for us in the end. We coded in Python and we used a SQL database to store things like the textbook information and the account information. We had a Docker container that was used to install dependencies, and it was a container to run the application across multiple operating systems such as Windows and Mac OS. And finally, we use a lot of different libraries from both Django and Python to add features and security components for the project. Now a demo.
You can see the bookstore created by our team running locally on my machine opened in a Chrome browser. Upon opening the bookstore, users are greeted with a home page displaying the books carried. This includes an image of the book, its title, author, price, and quantity in stock. To learn more, users can click View Details of a specific book to take them to a page with the author's title, as well as a description, price, and quantity in stock. If logged in, we would also have the ability to add the item to our cart. However, since we are currently not logged in, we do not have that option. Going back to the books, we also offer a search functionality to find specific books. If a user is looking for a book on the C programming language, they need only type in C programming language and hit enter, and any books on the C programming language will appear. Users can also search books not just by title but author as well. Here we have the ability for users to register an account. They must submit a username with 150 characters or fewer, containing only letters, numbers, as well as these few special symbols. Anything other than that will not be accepted and will prompt them to enter something else. We also have an email and password confirmation. Both the email and password confirmation also have requirements that must be met in order for a valid account to be registered as security measures. Additionally, we have added a CAPTCHA for additional security measures. Since we already have an account, we can log on here as our super user, type in our password, check the CAPTCHA, and log in. Now we are logged in as super user, and if we click to view a book, we have the option to add it to our cart. When we add it to our cart, it takes us to the cart where we can view any other items we may have as well as manage our cart. If we would like to buy multiple copies, we simply hit the plus button and that will update the number of copies as well as the price. We can also do that if we would like to buy less copies or if we would like to remove the book entirely. With nothing in our shopping cart, we can return to shopping to the selection of books.
Some of the insights and lessons that we learned from the attack was that most of the components of the project had been completed very well. The Django framework we had used had managed most of the security vulnerabilities, and that was really beneficial when we were designing this application. It did not cover everything, however, and we did have to program a lot of what we were looking for. Things like input validation, directory traversal, and file names were things that we had to sanitize um, just for the sake of the database query and making sure that it was not an exploitable part of the application. However, using this kind of framework was really, really good for designing the application, as most of the features were already in the framework, and we had to think of the more important ones, and those were the ones that were the most important and most exploitable. Something that we didn't consider was just making sure that we were using the up-to-date software packages, such as the Django libraries, um, and that was something that we had to make sure after the attack. A single example of one of the improvements that we made was changing our book class. On the left-hand side, we have all the attributes for the book class, things like the title, the author, the description, and the price for the book. Um, However, when we were attacked, we had to make sure that the directory traversal and file names had to be secure. And so we created another class and we made sure that when the image was uploaded, we had to make sure that we were using that class's methods to create a file name and to upload it to the right directory to make sure that it was encrypted and it was not vulnerable to an attack. And this was just one of the examples that we made that we improved on after the attacking. Thank you.